Hello and welcome back, Realty Pros. It is great to see everyone here with us this afternoon. I appreciate so much you joining us. I appreciate the fact that you um, feel and or you feel enough about yourself that you're investing in yourself so that you can have the success in business in 2024 that you intended. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. We have with us our beautiful and illustrious broker who is going to be sharing with us today. She always has such great insight and such great information to share with us. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to turn it over to you, Miss Porter. Thank you again.
Good afternoon, Realty Pros. I'm so excited to be with you guys here today. Hold on one second. Let's get this audio together. Turn that up. Okay, perfect. Can you guys hear me okay without any feedback? Perfect. Welcome to everybody that's on the line. We are excited that you carved out the time to be with us here today, and you will not regret it. We are going through business planning, and that icebreaker was so pertinent. So I'm thankful to Anita and to Angela for hosting and putting that question in the chat for you guys. And I really wanted to hear what your thoughts are concerning those, because a lot of people think that it's just a good idea to write your goals, but I don't know if many people recognize how crucial and how pertinent it is to your overall success. So one thing I want to do is share with you guys just this brief little piece of information in front of you, and you guys should be able to see on your screens. This is about goals and setting goals, right? You see the person on the left, you see 83% of people have no goals set at all. They just kind of go day by day and, do whatever they need to accomplish for the day, but don't necessarily set any short-term or long-term goals, right? Now let's take that over just by one column and look at this. 14% of people have goals, but they're just in their heads. And the 14% of people that have goals, but they're just in their heads, they're 10 times more successful than the 83% of people who have no goals at all. And that would seem to be good, except when you look at the ideal column, which is place number 3, where we endeavor to be every single day, you see that only 3% of people have written goals. And what's the outcome of that 3% of people who have written goals? They are 30 times more successful than the 83% of people who have no goals whatsoever. So as we go throughout our goal setting and our business planning, I really want you guys to ponder that today, because Kermon opened and he talked about goals and what they meant, and he came from a scriptural perspective, and he just hit the nail right on the head. He talked about, right, one of the things that I'll elaborate and say, without goals or without a vision, people perish. When you have goals, it gives you a vision, right? And we're supposed to write the vision and make it plain. We're supposed to write these things out. So it's not a matter of comfort or convenience. It's a matter of instructions for success. Because one of the things that in life is that success leaves clues, and it is not by accident that any person is successful. There are very specific habits and traits amongst all successful people, and this is one that you just cannot afford to overlook, and that is absolutely your goal setting. So before I go into the next screen, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are about these numbers and statistics. 83% of people with no goals, 14% goals just in their head, they achieve 10% more, and then the 3%, and that is us. The 3%, I will say again, that is us, achieve 30 times more than people who have no goals. I want to pause there. I want to give you guys a moment to think about it, muddle it over, and tell me what that means to you. Tell me how that gives you perspective or insight as we segue into our goal setting for today. What do you think about it? It's your turn. Let's take about 3 minutes and hear from you guys. Okay, can you all hear me? No, you're on mute.
Ms. Porter, can you hear me? That's okay. Got it.
You and
Okay.
Aurelia are talking at the same time.
I'm sorry. No,
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead, Ro. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to say that that really shows how important setting goals and writing them down is. If you're comparing that between the 83% of people who actually do not set goals at all, that's a large number to look at, and only 3% overall that actually write their goals down, actually achieve their goals. So I think that's very important, and it spells how important that is.
Excellent, Aurelia. Thank you so much for sharing that. Herman, tell me what you think about this information.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, great. No, I wanted to just say for full transparency, it's funny. I vacillate between the two of having the goals in my head and writing the goals down. And I got to be honest, I don't always write it down. I always have something in my head on what I want to do and what I want to accomplish. And I have learned throughout the years that when I write it down, it's way better. I get much more done, and I'm able to stay focused, which is our word for this year. But I don't always do it. And I was listening to Anitha, and I do that as well. I get distracted, and distractions will come. And what I found is writing your goals down really takes away a lot of times from the distractions. And that's probably one of the best things I can say that it does for me. It really keeps me from getting distracted because there's so much stuff going on. We talk about focus, and we know that where the focus goes, the power flows. Okay. So we wanted to stay focused. And what I'm realizing this year, especially, I'm going to have to write it all down. I'm going to have a system where I have everything lined up, written down that I can go to constantly throughout the day, throughout the week, to be able to hold myself accountable and to be able to stay on point. So I'm realizing, and I didn't do it last year, but last year is gone. I'm not worried about that. I'm moving forward, but this is what we need to do this year. So.
Excellent. I thank you for that, Kerman. I want to hear what the rest of you are thinking. Only 3% of people have written goals, and the 3% of people who have written goals have 30 times more success than the 83% of people who have no goals. I want to hear what that means to you. Give me one more person, and then I'm going to move on.
That means we need to start writing down our goals. It's exactly what it means. Write down those goals if you want to be successful.
Very simply put, and I thank you for that, Darlene.
I just want to add one other comment to that. As far as I know personally, I am one to write things down. And I can say that it tends to gravitate to me when I have it written down because it's now out of my head and it's on a piece of paper, and I can focus on other things or focus on reaching those goals. So it actually, it I don't know, it actually draws to you
Means you
when you have
manifesting.
something written down, and you don't have to keep focusing on it, because what your mind tends to do is keep going over and over on the things that you haven't written down. But when you write it down on paper, then you can focus on achieving those goals.
Aurelia, that was so perfect. 2 minutes. Let's see. Mute yourselves. Have feedback. Excellent. So that was so perfectly stated. And that is actually a solution that we can talk about even further as we move forward with the goal setting. But take hold of what you just heard Darlene and Aurelia say, because you'll hear so many people talk, or at least for us women, I know we do it probably more than males, in a sense that we have so many things that we're thinking about doing. And there's a lot that is just kind of up here in your mind. And when you hear Kerman talking about me always having something and I'm writing it down, that is how you get through the minutia. That's how you get through the distraction. That's how you cut through the noise. You write down all of those things that are on your mind that you know you need to do, But the key is that you go back through them and you prioritize. So for that day, you might wake up and on your heart, mind, and spirit, you may have all this stuff, and it's like, I got to do, A through Z. You write that stuff down, and out of that, you say, what is the single most important thing that I need to get done, if nothing else today? You prioritize that thing, you get that done, and then in that list of priorities, you can determine what comes second, third, and fourth. But as we're talking about following one course until successful, we've stated then, and we'll reiterate for the sake of clarity and understanding, it's not that you only accomplish one thing. It's that you focus on one thing at a time. So that is how you're going to maximize your productivity. That is how you're going to get things done. And that's how you're going to get through more of those items on your list than you ever would have before, with a greater level of, just efficacy in that sense. All right, Cheryl, I see that your hand is up. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I was just gonna piggyback off of what you just said, Jasmine, and by writing things down, that's one of the things that doesn't keep you up at night or wake you up early in the morning, because you have to do these things. So when you write it down, you can see it, you can prioritize it, just like you said.
I promise you, that's how I live my life. Because, and you just hit the nail on the head. There are so many things that are always yelling at you that needs to be done. So whether it's laundry, whether it's the dog, the child, the bills or whatever, there's so many things. You write them down and you pull them out of the cloud, so to speak, and you put them down on a piece of paper in front of you. Then again, you simply prioritize. What is the one thing, right? Because in our goal setting, we'll be talking about time blocking, and we constantly talk about time blocking. You have time in your schedule that is specific to your business goals. And during that time block, you guard it. That time has to be consecrated to you achieving specifically that thing that you set out to do in your business goals. With that being said, there's going to be a time block for you to master personal items. And in that time block that you have for your personal items, that's where you're going to go to, okay, well, let me handle this one thing now. And when you finish that one thing now, tomorrow you'll be able to handle the next thing. And by the time you get to the end of your week, you've accomplished all of these things because you have intended to write them down as goals and prioritize them and only focus on the absolute item of utmost importance first. Is that clear to everybody? Excellent. Does anybody have any thoughts or anything that they'd like to contribute before I move on to the next slide here? Akea, if you have something to contribute, we would love to hear it. Oh, you've added it to the chat? Let's see. Keeping in mind, when you write your goals, that you make it specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. You hit the nail on the head, Akea, because that's where we're going today. And all of our Porterhouse agents, you know that is absolutely what we do for each one of our goals. So I'm excited to hear that that's where you're thinking already, Akea. All right. So our goal for today is to get through the minutia of everything that we have to do and focus in on the single most important thing and get that to a state of clarity. So you know very simplistically what needs to be done now and what can be done later. Okay. I say that because as we go through this business plan, you'll say, well, wow, Jasmine, I hear you saying one thing, but this is a very lengthy business plan. This is a lot to go through. And it is a lot to go through, but it's not, you don't want to focus on everything there. This is to get you to a point of clarity, a point of focus where you know exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, but you're starting out with your why. Okay. So on this page, as you're looking here at this grid, this is your grid of life. You see all these different facets of your life, of course, because we're not just business, but business counts. What I want you to do is you're going through this business plan, but what I really want you to focus on are the items that affect everything else. And number one, can you guys, oh, okay. Thank you. Let me make sure I share this one with you. There we go. Share the new screen. Thank you, Anita, for letting me know that didn't advance. And I want you guys to be able to see it. So you let me know if it didn't come through, okay? So back to this grid, like we're talking about in this business plan, today we're going to scale it down to the simplest component possible. You see all of this information, but we want to get you to the point of clarity. As you see, of course, we're well-rounded beings. We're much more than business. You're physical, spiritual, mental, and everything else included here. But I want to be very clear, because there are specific aspects of this business or of yourself that affect everything else in your life. I want to be clear. You as a person, like you physically, spiritually, and mentally, if you are well, it will impact everything else that you see here. If you are not well, it will impact everything else that you see here. So you've got to be specific to set goals to make sure that you are taking care of you personally. All right. And then your business goals. What it is that you do in business, the fruitfulness and productivity of your business will absolutely impact everything else here, because your business outcomes determines your financials. What it is that you're doing in your business and how well you're doing determines whether or not what you can do for the social fund, determines what you can do for your contributions and all the things you can do for your family. It helps you physically, it helps you mentally, and all of those things. So we want to be very, very specific in what it is that we're focusing on, because these areas impact everything else. Okay. So for the sake of us in Porterhouse today on our trainings and in our business plan reviews, we're going to be focusing in on your business, not because the other areas are not important, but because we know that how fruitful and productive you are in your business is going to impact every other part in your life. Okay. So out of all of these, our one thing is we are going to focus on those business goals. Is that clear to everybody? All right. So we're going to scroll on down, and your piece is to determine where you want to be in the next 5 years. But we're going to come down and take a look at this from a different perspective, right? Because I know I've had conversations with many of you, and one of the things that I get is tracking for 2023. You know, I didn't necessarily track each one of these things. So do I spend all of this time trying to figure out these numbers, or do I take a look at it? And this is the piece that I'll impart today from an overall perspective from 2023 in your business. What worked? What didn't work? And what adjustments do you need to make? Okay. So I don't want you to focus so much energy on this page if you do not have those numbers to provide. Let me make that clear. What I want you to do is I want you to go down to this page that says 2024 personal goals. And I want you to write out one personal goal for each one of these areas of your life. And we are going to focus on your personal goal for your business. What does that look like? What is priority? What is the one thing that you want to accomplish this year in your business, if nothing else? And that is what we're going to center your business plan reviews around. Okay. With that being said, you'll likely accomplish multiple things in your business, and that's great. That's generally the way that it happens. But for the sake of us following one course until successful, we want you to take the time to do your due diligence, to write down the things that you want to accomplish, the things that you need to do, and do exactly like we're saying. Go through that list and prioritize and say, of all of these items that I need to accomplish, what is the single most important thing, right? Like you heard me talk about on that pie chart or that grid, in the sense that what is the one thing that will impact each of these other areas of my business? What is the one thing that if I accomplish here, it's going to produce fruit in all these other areas? So it's going to be somewhat of a trickle down or a domino effect, in that if I focus on this one thing and accomplish this, it is going to lend itself to progress in each one of these areas. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, perfect. So that is the purpose of that. So when we do your business plan reviews, and when you guys do them with your leadership team here, the single most important focus is to get through all of the details and everything else, and hone in and focus in on what is that one thing that we're going to focus on that's going to get you to your business goals in 2024. All right. So from that business goal that you're going to clearly define, you know exactly what we do every single year in Porterhouse. And if you're new to Porterhouse and this is your first time, go through this making it easy and breaking down the numbers page because it tells you numerically what you need to do based on your earning goal for the year. And everybody should have an earning goal for your business for the year. We want to establish the what first and foremost, the what we want to do. And then we'll determine the how. The what is what you want to accomplish in your business, and the how are going to be the steps that you need to take in order to get you there. Is that clear to everybody? Perfect. So this is how you establish the how, in the sense that the what is a specific earning goal, and your how, what does that look like in terms of number of transactions? What does that look like in terms of number of contacts? What does that look like in terms of the number of contacts per day and hours per day? Why? Because we want to get down to the single focused of what one thing do I need to do in order to accomplish this. And if we go through this whole making it easy, breaking down the numbers page, the one thing that you should take away from this is for that 100K in sales commission per year, the one thing that you need to do is an hour and a half of daily prospecting. Okay? Everything else there is all of the details. And those things are important, but they are not the primary. The primary is the single most important: prospecting every single day for 1.5 hours. And that will get you to your business goal if your business goal is $100,000 in sales commission. All right. Now I say that, and there's somewhat of a caveat, because these numbers, our market has increased so much since I originally did these numbers. So I promise you that if you did follow these numbers, you will be well above $100,000 in earning, because our market value or average sales price is over $100,000 more than it was at this time. So you will have quite a bit of icing on the cake. But for the sake of clarity and simplicity, I really want you guys to understand what the clear focus is for the making it easy and breaking down the numbers piece. It's to get us to the point where you're clearly defining that one thing that you're going to do that's going to get you to the point where you've made all of these contacts. So that's my challenge for each and every last one of our Realty pros, you guys that are on the line. I want you to think in terms of, okay, this is my business goal. This is what I need to accomplish. In terms of that prospecting activity that I need to do, what is that one thing that I need to do? Or what is that one thing that has proven itself to be fruitful to me? Well, why would I say that? Because if you were here at Porterhouse in 2023, then you know that our goal and our theme for that year was to establish your presence and to solidify your position. So there are quite a number of things, depending on what your focus was for last year, that you guys have done, and you have seen some levels of success in those things. You guys have established different things. Each of you have established different things, and you have really gotten some momentum. You've gotten some traction. You've seen quite a lot of fruit. You've gotten clients. You've gotten closings. You've got leads in the pipeline. So to help you define and bring even more clarity to this 1.5 hours of daily prospecting per day, I want you to take a look and say, what is the one thing that was most fruitful for me in my business in 2023? What did I establish? What momentum did I gain? Of all of the clients that I got, the closings that I got, the leads that I got, the people that are currently in my pipeline for 2024, where did they come from? What activity was that? Because that is your clue. We're looking to build. We're always looking to grow. We're always looking to go to the next level. We're always looking for progress without limits. So we're building and we're growing and we're moving from level to level in everything that it is that we do. So in order for us to do that, you've got to come to us with a clear and concise focus and say, this is where I had progress last year. And I don't want you to discount any humble beginnings in your progress, because you might have had, progress that led you to get a number of buyer agency agreements signed. You may have had progress that led you to being the agent of the year. You might have had progress that led you to a whole bunch of clients that you're currently working with, although they're not closed. So Or you may have progress that gave you a mixture in that you've had settlements, you have clients, you have leads, and all of these things. So I want you to count those things that count, meaning the fruit that you got or the things that actually produced and gave you a yield for last year, the things that actually gave you clients for last year. That is what I want for you to clearly define as your one prospecting activity that you are going to do for this hour and a half of daily prospecting that we're talking about, delegating for your time blocking on a weekly basis. Now, I'm going to take a pause here and I'm going to let you guys think about it for a moment because I want to hear from you. I want to hear, number one, what did you do last year that produced clients for you last year? What did you do last year that gave you closings for last year? Where did your clients come from? That's what I want to hear from you guys. So drop it in the chat or unmute yourselves, but I want to get you to the point to where you're crystal clear as to where your focus is so that that one thing is clearly defined. I'll go ahead and mute myself because I want you guys to, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What did you do that was fruitful last year? Darlene Bridges, we're gonna just volunteer you. That's how that's happening today. We want to hear what was productive for you last year. There you go. Darlene's working on unmuting.
So okay. So I can say for myself, what worked on top of work was follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. If I wasn't sending a text message, I was doing an email. More so texting than anything. I stayed in constant communication with every lead that I had, and I closed most of them before the end of the year. And then now I'm in 2024. I have a closing today, and this is from a lead from last year, so, and then I have another listing coming up and it was from last year. So it's just constantly staying in connection with your leads. They, and I do have some that, don't answer my text messages or whatever, but I give them space and then I go back. And I can honestly say it's been follow-up. And majority of my clients have been referrals from my sphere. And some people, I may have worked with maybe 2 people that I have not really known, but oh, she does, or she, and then the story that Miss Porter told you guys about, it was the Dubai, and then it was just 2 individuals in Tampa, both knowing me, but they don't know that, right? And they're referring me to each other, and oh no, that. So it's just constantly staying in connection with your leads. The follow up is that's all I could say. Is follow up.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Darlene. And I really want to make sure that we pay attention to what she said because it is crystal clear and it is simple. There are so many things that we can endeavor to do, and some of them are good things, but are they what you need to be doing in order to get you closer to your goal? She's talking about simplicity, follow-up, her sphere that have, lended itself to many referrals for her. Following up. I want to hear from somebody else. What one thing did you do that was fruitful for you in 2023? What gave you clients? What gave you closings? What gave you leads for last year? Let's see who we'll call on next. All right, come on, Skipper. While she's working to unmute herself. If anybody else has anything, now that you've had an opportunity to think about it, what one thing did you do that was fruitful?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Can you guys hear Angela? Go ahead.
Okay. I would have to piggyback on what Darlene said. I can tell you that most of my transactions came from people where I followed up the most. The ones where I didn't follow up as much, they haven't closed yet. So it's where I put that attention and spent that time just staying present. So I would definitely piggyback on the follow up. And then just to add something else, I think the level of business that you provide, the quality of business that you provide, also helps for people. If you provide a great experience, people will refer folks to you. So one last thing I'll say is, don't not ask for the business. When you're reaching out to folks, you're talking to different people, whether you've worked with them or not. Ask people. We're looking for opportunities, right? If we, run into people all the time, whether you've worked with them or not, be sure to ask for the referral. Let them know, remind them, I'm not a secret agent. This is what I do. And then ask them, do you know someone? So that may open doors for those of you who say, well, I didn't have many transactions last year, and I want to increase the number that I have in 2024. Reach out to your contacts, ask for the business, and reach out to them again. Happy birthday. We're on social media. We see these people's birthdays. Wish them a happy birthday. Just say hello. But try to maintain that consistent contact. Next thing you know, they'll be contacting you with, hey, my sister's been looking. They know you're a real estate agent. They know that you care because you've contacted them. And now they're sending folks to you. So that's for those of you who are saying, I'm trying to figure out what to do. Do what Darlene says. And then try those things to try to build your own book of business.
Excellent, Angela. Thank you so much. And then I'm going to hear from one more person, Anita Bowie. What thing did you do last year that yielded fruit for you? Where did you get clients? Where did you get the leads and closings from last year?
Okay. So, I guess that's just the consistency. My clients, although I did not do as well as I know I could have done, I'm happy because I accomplished it in the sense that I increased and did better than what I did previously. And it goes back to, just as Angela and Darlene has said, if you meet someone in January that says that they want to purchase a home, but not until later on in the year, or if they say they want to sell their home, but not until later on in the year, you should not wait until, if for instance they say June, you should not wait until June to reach back out to them, because they've forgotten about you. And more than likely, especially that seller, they sold their house the next month, and so because you were waiting, you lost out on that opportunity. And also too, so I mean, and especially we had a lot of opportunities last year, especially when the weather breaks and we're able to get out on the lead locomotives, and we're able to, talk to people and get their information. Make sure that you continue to follow up with those individuals, because they will, it will come to you if you do. And then your sphere, make sure that they know, that this is what I do, and I would love the opportunity to be able to service you. If not you, who is it that you can refer to me? I think those are really the two key things for me. I'm trying to think. I don't believe that I take that back. I did get one person that actually kind of spilled over into this new year that I just did not have any connection with. But all the rest of my business was through some type of connection. So connect, connect, connect. And let's do something different I mean, if you didn't do it last year, that's okay. Last year is over, you know. Let's do something different this year so we can get some different results.
Excellent, Anita. Thank you so much for sharing that. Darlene, I see you have your hand up.
I wanted to say one more thing. This is one of the things that I know helped as well, is if you don't have social media, and I'm not the best at it, you know, I got shut down off of Facebook. Now I'm only hanging out over on Instagram. But if you can just put stuff on social media, highlight a lot of stuff, so people actually do see you, because that is how, like, even one of the sellers that I have coming up, she was like, I heard about this amazing agent, and I'm ready for you to list. She knows me, but she's just been watching what I've been doing and what I've been posting. And so it's just that I've been staying in front of her, but just by way of social media, not necessarily talking to her on a daily basis. She's just seeing that and it's not that I'm closing every day or once a month. I'm constantly just putting stuff out there, and they're seeing that, and it's some good information. So that's another way that I feel has helped my business, just by, staying present as much as I can on social media and definitely following up through that. I want to put that out there.
Excellent, Darlene. Thank you so much for sharing that. So for everybody who's been listening, and Akai, I want to acknowledge really quickly that I do see your message in the chat. I hear you. And your closing from last year came from your sphere of influence. So let me ask, for anybody who has not yet commented, do you hear a common thread? Is it possible that you hear something that resonates, with each one of the agents who have spoken here today? I think so. I think so. Number one is sphere of influence. Number two is follow up. So follow up, follow up, follow up with your sphere of influence. Do whatever you need to do to be active. All right. So as we're talking about that hour and a half of daily prospecting, some of you know what item that is from last year because you just articulated. Some of you are thinking about what that was. But what I want you to do for those, if you say, okay, well, I did not necessarily get any traction last year, whatever it was that was going on last year that may have prevented you from doing so. Now what we've got to do is talk about what you need to do this year. And if you've heard that theme from your leaders in terms of what absolutely works, then you should pretty much have a clue of what you should do as well for this year. You should absolutely follow up with your sphere of influence and all of the leads that you have gotten. What's a lead? A lead is anybody that you've talked to at any point in time, anybody that's reached out to you that has had any type of interest in real estate, whether it be buying, listing, leasing, or even becoming a realtor. So all of the leads, conversations you've had, people that have come over to you from, whether it's Sync, or you might even have people from Boomtown, from other websites, people contacting you on social media. These are people that you need to follow up with as well. Follow up and sphere of influence. Those actually they go hand in hand because it's follow up with those people in your sphere of influence. So that is to clearly define what your prospecting is going to look like for that hour and a half. Okay. So now we're in a home stretch for the last portion of Realty Talks today. So I want to take us to a page where we're going to clearly define what that's going to look like for us from a perspective of making our goals SMART. As you know, in Porterhouse, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound, right? Because the goal of that SMART goal is to then plug it in on your daily planners. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to close out the business plan and I'm going to go to your SMART goal action planner. So when we're talking about what your goals are for a daily basis, what your goals are that need to go into your planner, the goals that you need to set before you so that you can look at them consistently Here is a good tool for you, because with this SMART goal action planner, what you do is at the very top of this, that one goal that we talked about, clearly define it. At the top of this, that is what those lines are at the very top. You clearly define what that one goal is, right? Remember, we said you define the what and then define the how. So then you come on down on this SMART goal action planner, and you have numerous steps from 1 to 8. And of course, if you need to add more pages to this, do as you need to as it pertains to this particular goal. Some goals you'll be able to accomplish in 1 step or 2 steps. Some might take you 10 or 20 steps, and that is perfectly normal. What you need to do is define what specific action items need to be taken in order for you to accomplish that goal. Then they need to be measurable, meaning how much, how often, how many. This is how you identify your levels of success with it. All right. Then is it attainable? Is it achievable? What are the potential challenges? What resources do I need? Right? Because that level of attainability doesn't mean it's not possible. All things are possible. But I want you guys to have the insight and foresight to know, okay, well, this is what my goal is, but I know I need to get resources to be able to accomplish this goal. And that falls up under that attainable piece. What resources do I need? If there's a challenge, what's that challenge? And then what solution have I found to overcome that? Relevant. Everything needs to be relevant to your goal. And this is the piece that is oftentimes most difficult for us, because as you heard me say before, there are so many good things to do. There are so many things that work. There are going to be so many things that will be vying for your time and your attention, and they will say, choose me. But the question that you've got to ask and answer for yourself in that same thought is this relevant to my goal? Is this going to get me closer to my goal? Not is this a good thing to do? Not is this something that I saw on social media that somebody else is doing or something that I read, but specifically with crystal clear focus, does this get me closer to my goal? And if not, then it is not relevant to what you're working on at that time, and you do not touch it. Okay? So relevance in that instance, that is how you measure that. And then time bound. When will this item be completed? That can be by Friday. That'll be within 2 weeks. That can be by the end of the month. It'll be based on that specific action item. All right. And then a piece that's extremely important to this SMART goal planning as well is, what were the results? Was this step successfully completed? Are there any revisions that are needed? And that's something that you want to do on a consistent basis. Why do I say that? Because we're setting a goal, or we're setting your action plan for the year, but there are going to be things that you'll do quarterly, you'll do monthly, you'll do weekly, and you'll do daily. And as you do those things, your goal is the same, but your path to get there can be adjusted based on the outcomes that you have when you set out. As an example, if there's something that you say, okay, well, my goal was to do my prospecting calls for an hour and a half, in the morning from, 8 o'clock until 9:30 or whatever the case is. And you complete those and you go back and measure it after that first month, and you say, okay, well, I had a 40% success rate. You know what I mean? Meaning that 60% of the people were not available at that time. Are there any revisions needed to that? Your goal remains the same. The goal is that you're going to complete that hour and a half of daily prospecting on those calls every day. But the how might be adjusted a little bit, meaning I have a time block from 8 to 9:30. Maybe I'll push that down from 4:30 until 6, or maybe I'll push it down from 5 until 6:30, or whatever works best in order for you to maximize your return on investment, or in order for you to maximize your results there. Okay. So I want us to be consistent, or I want us to be focused on the goal, but flexible on the how. All right. So be firm in your grasp and your goal, or your efforts to reach that goal. But however you need to make adjustments in order to best accomplish that, I want you to be flexible. So if something happens and you say, okay, well, I had to go, take the kids this place, or I had to go do that, that's perfectly fine. What you're going to do is you take that block of time and you move it to another place, but make sure that it gets back on your calendar, back on your planner, back in your phone, or however it is that you measure your progress that day, so that now you can check that item off. I'm going to pause there. I want you guys to think about this action planner in terms of these SMART goals and the items that you need to put there. And I want to hear from you guys in terms of what some of your goals are and how we're going to use this form so that you know specifically what we need you to do. Actually, before I do, I'll give you an example. You heard Mr. Porter and I, when he was teaching last week, he talked about, what some of our business goals were and what some of the personal goals were, or the one business goal that we focused on, or the one personal goal that we focused on. As an example, if I were to say the personal goal, which was at a point, back in 2016, we had to buy our house that year, that would be the goal. That goal, purchase a house this year. All right, action items. What do you need to do for your action item? Number one, I need to get pre-approved. Under that pre-approval piece, there may be several action steps that the lender gives you in order to be pre-approved. All of those go up under column 1 in this specific. The goal is singular. The items or steps taken in order to get there are going to be various, right? So we had to do all kinds of stuff. We had to pay off this and you pay off that and do all of these things. And then of course, you got to go on showings, you got to write offers, you got to negotiate, you got to fulfill underwriting. All of those are specific action items up under that same goal. So this list or your action planner, this can be full and complete with steps so that you have it broken down into everything that you need to do to accomplish that one thing. So that everything that you're doing within that block of time is centered around that one goal. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, I'll give you guys a moment to think about it. Then I want to hear from you in terms of this SMART Goal Action Planner. Because as we're meeting your takeaway, I want you guys to go back and complete this and then send us your one goal for your business with this page completed for your SMART goals. What action items? How is it measurable? What does that look like? How often are you going to do it? How many times do you need to do it? Right? What resources do you need? Is it relevant? Does it get you closer to your goal? What dates and deadlines are you setting for yourself? So this should be the end result of your entire business plan. I'll say it again. The completion of this page should be the end result of your entire business plan. So you have a clear action plan, not the whole, book of business plan with all of those items, but a clear action plan, clear focus for that goal. And when we're talking about looking at it every single day, this is what you can take and put up on your refrigerator, right? This is what you can keep on your phone. This is what you can have so that it's not too much to focus on, but it's clear. You use this and you put that into your planner for the week, and you know exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how to measure your success. All right, I'm going to pause there because I want to hear from you guys. All right, what are your thoughts in terms of this SMART Goal Action Planner before we end? Is this clear to you guys in terms of how to use it? Is it clear in terms of what the focus is for your whole business plan? It's to get you to that point. I see heads nodding in the room, and that's great. Everybody that's online, are all hearts and minds clear? Cheryl, I see you're giving a thumbs up. All right, so is everybody else good? Darlene, I see your hand up. Is that from the last time? Okay, perfect. All right, if that's the case, then I will assume that we are all good. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the share for today. So when we meet for your business plan, make sure you guys get to the point where you've done this. okay? And when our leaders that are on here, when you meet with all of your Realty Pro colleagues, we want you guys to have done the exact same thing. Get to the point where you're crystal clear on what that one thing is. And let's move forward with focus this year. All right, guys? Thank you so much for your time. I'm excited for everything that we're going to accomplish together this year. I will end right there. And Anita, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Porter. Thank you so much for sharing. So I think we have clear instructions, and this training is very vital to what's going to transpire throughout the year for you. And so I'm so glad that each of you are here today, and you have clear instructions on how you're going to go about making sure that you achieve your goals. So thank you again. We're going to go ahead and we are going to end if there are no additional questions or comments from anyone. Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll stop the recording.